Right now, you are sitting with people you love, or you were, recently. And here is a strange, quiet fact nobody tells you at the table. That exact moment, those exact people, that exact mood, that exact conversation is never happening again. Not tomorrow, not next time you see them. Never in exactly that shape again. That should sound frightening. In Japan, they turned it into one of the gentlest ideas I know. I live in Japan. Last time, we talked about the ache you feel when something beautiful is ending.
もののあわれ.
Today is what you actually do with that ache. The word is Ichigo Ichie. And once you understand it, an ordinary Tuesday stops feeling ordinary. This is Kokoro Lab. Ichigo Ichie. 4 characters. 1 time, 1 meeting. The literal translation is almost too simple. 1 time, 1 meeting. But sit with it for a second. It is not saying meetings are rare. It is saying every meeting, even the boring ones, even the ones with people you see every day, only happens exactly once. You will see your friend again next week. But this version of seeing them, this week's mood, this week's news, this exact conversation, is a one-time event, quietly disguised as a routine one. This idea did not start as a philosophy. It started in a tea room. For centuries, Japanese tea masters have practiced a very deliberate ritual, chanoyu, the way of tea. And the etiquette of it carries one strange instruction: behave as though this exact gathering will never happen again, because, precisely, it will not. The same guests may sit in that same room 100 more times, but this pour, this quiet, this particular afternoon light happens exactly once. So the host prepares as if it were the only time that will ever matter, and the guest receives it the same way. That is not a metaphor for tea. It became, over centuries, a way of treating every encounter in life. So take it out of the tea room, into your actual week. The coworker you say good morning to on autopilot. The phone call with your parent that you were slightly distracted during. The dinner with an old friend that felt, honestly, a little routine. None of those were rare, unrepeatable feeling moments. And every single one of them was technically exactly that. That specific combination of 2 people, that day's weather in both of their heads, that exact sentence said in that exact tone will never assemble itself the same way again. Last time,
もののあわれ.
taught you to feel the ache when something is ending. Ichigo Ichie is the practice for before it ends. It says, do not wait for the last page to pay attention. Every page was the last time you would read it exactly like this. Now, I know how that can sound. Pressure. Like every conversation needs to matter, or you failed something. That is not what tea masters meant. Ichigo Ichie is not about performing importance. It is about presence. You do not need to make the moment bigger. You need to stop treating it as a rehearsal for some other, more important moment later. Here is my own small version. I live here in Yokohama, and some evenings I meet a friend for something as unremarkable as coffee. For years, I treated those as filler. The real event was always somewhere else, later, bigger. Ichigo Ichie changed one thing. Not the coffee, just my attention during it. Same cup, completely different evening. So here is this week's practice, and it is almost embarrassingly small. Once today, in an ordinary interaction, a coworker, a family member, even a stranger at a register, silently think the words. 1 time, 1 meeting, nothing else changes. You do not need to say anything different. Just notice that this exact configuration of this exact moment will never assemble itself again. That is the whole practice. Not bigger gestures, smaller attention. Next week, Natsukashi, the Japanese word for nostalgia that has almost none of the sadness English nostalgia carries. Subscribe so you do not miss it. And in the comments, Tell me one very ordinary moment from this week you would now like to have paid more attention to. I read everything.